Hi there, CAT team. For those that were not in class last night, this is a video for you. Too Tall Toby, super nice, and left up this hex bolt on his practice models library for us to do. And what's nice about that is folks that do not have the premium account can do this model while it is a featured challenge. And so he's going to leave it up for the next couple of days, I think. And so let's jump in here. And for those that don't have the premium model, the premium subscription, y'all jump in here and do it now. For those that do have premium, you can do this at any time. So let me show you a quick picture from Toby's site. So we've got we've got something that I doubt anybody on our team has done, which is to use a helix. We're going to use a little helix. We're going to wrap it around the central cylinder here on our bolt, and then we will use a little trapezoid shape like this, and we'll sweep that along the helix to make the teeth. Okay, and when we get to the helix, this box up here in the top left-hand corner will give us some information that we need. But let's get started by simply making an inscribed 40 hex hex base. That's 13 high, and then we'll make a cylinder here that is, you can see the teeth are going to extend out to a diameter of 26, an outside diameter of 26 millimeters, but our column is going to be the inside column is going to be 20. So we'll make a column of 20 extending from the top of the hex head here, and it's going to go all the way up to this top part here. Toby tells us to start the helix here, gives us a little hint. We're going to start at 83 above this the top face of the hex bolt. So let's make that first, and then we'll come back to here and we'll see what to do with the how to play with the helix. Okay, so here we go. So if we have time, what I'll show you is how to also make this nut. But until I won't know what kind of time we have until we're there. But let's remake this guy here. Okay, so I've made a new part studio. I'm going to show all my planes by pressing P. And I'm sorry, I forgot I need to do this. I'm going to take this picture. I'm going to take the drawing rather. I'm going to move it to my second screen. I can probably do it from memory at this point, but let's do it right. Okay, so on the top plane, I'm going to create a sketch. I'm going to press N to get normal to, and P to hide the planes. We're going to turn those planes on and off periodically. So I need the inscribed polygon. We're going to click here in the center, and I want it to be aligned like so. Click once. It's a 6-sided hexagon, so we're good there. Click another time, and then we're going to type in 40 because that is the size of our hex head. We're going to make another circle inside here. I'm going to go ahead and do this all in one sketch, and that's going to be a size of 20. So I'm going to press OK, and let's go ahead and extrude the hex face. So Shift E, we're going to come over here and make this 13. And we're not going to do it symmetrically. We're going to leave it right off the deck, just so you'll see here, we're building it off the top plane and going upwards. Okay, we need now to extrude that central circle. So I'm going to come back into the sketch to show it. Click on that, extrude, and that goes up 83. Okay, and we're going to add that to part one. We're going to merge them together, and there we go. So that's at least that's the big look there. Okay, so let's get our drawing back again. The next thing we do, we have to do three things. We have to take care of this little chamfer edge here, which kind of rounds off the top face of the bolt. We have to add the teeth, the helical teeth to it. And then at the very end, we have to kind of smooth out the top, which allows it to go into the nut more easily. Okay, so we have to do those three things. Let's start by doing this chamfer here. Notice the dimensions here. The chamfer is going to be From this edge to the next jumper edge is 40. So we're going to use a center dimension like that. And then we have this angle here is 30. So move that out of the way. This is going to be off the front. We're going to make a sketch off the front plane there, and you'll see why in a second. So click the front plane, Shift S in to get normal to, and I'm going to draw a little line is going to go here. But to make that happen, to get the triangle, I'm going to use this whole square. So I'm going to press the U command, or the use project convert command. I'm going to do L for line. I'm going to make sure I'm not connecting to the center point, for example. So I'm going to make sure I'm over here, and then I'm going to connect like so. Okay, I want another. I'm going to press Q to make a construction line. I'm just going to come down from the center point down. Let's just come down 10 or so, and that way it's fully constrained. Okay, D for dimension. We know that from here to here needs to be 20, but if I extend over that line, then I get a diameter dimension, and we know that that needs to be 40, so I'm going to stick with 40 because that's what's on the drawing. I'm still in the dimension tool. I'm going to grab the line I just drew in either the top face, the top plane, or this bottom edge here, and I want that angle to be 30, and we should be fully constrained, and we are. There it is there. Okay, so I click OK, and now I need to grab that little triangle, and we're going to revolve around removing that material, but I can't grab that triangle because the part is blocking it, so I'm going to hide the part temporarily. Come back in here. Let me hide my planes too. Press P to hide the planes. Grab that little triangle, unhide the part, and now the triangle is selected. Now I can say revolve. I'm going to remove, and the revolve axis is going to be this center line that we just made earlier. Boom, there it goes. So now, isn't that handy, nifty? I'm going to hide the sketch here so we can see it better. That looks pretty cool. Great. All right, so that's 1/3 of the things we have to do. Let me grab the sketch again, or the drawing rather. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to make the helical pattern, the helix really. So it starts way up here, which is 83 above the base, which is the very tip top of our cylinder. Okay, so that was handy. I'm going to move this out of the way once again. All right, so I can never remember where the helix is. All right, up in here, it's somewhere here. But if I can't remember, I just simply type it in, HELIX, and it highlights it for us, or you can just simply click here, and it will go straight to it. Okay. Wait, why didn't it work? There it is. Okay, it's under the plane tool right there. So we can make a helix with a cylinder or cone, with an axis or with a circle. And we're going to choose the circle here. We're going to choose this top circle to be the guide of our helix. And right away it starts to make a helix in the wrong direction. So I'm going to click the opposite direction. So it's going to go down into here. All right, let's take a look here. Maybe I could do half and half. There we go. No. Okay. So the revolutions, it's about 15 revolutions. What you want to do is we want to we don't want to end the helix right here at the base of the head, the hex head. We want to go into the body, and that way the threads go into, they don't just abruptly stop. They kind of meld into the hex head. And that's really what you want. So we want our hex to go down inside there. The pitch is 5 millimeters, 15 revolutions. The diameter is 20, which we've already settled on because that's our cylinder. The start angle is 0, and the direction is clockwise. So if we come over here, the input type, we need to do more than just the number of turns. Number of turns will be revolutions. We need to do turns and the pitch. Okay, so the start angle, Toby said, was 0. Check. revolutions is about 15, and you can see what happens here. If it's 4 revolutions, it comes all the way down to there. 15 revolutions is going to go even further. It's going to go way down there, but we need to change this target pitch to be 5. And now you can see, if I click on the front to zoom in, you can see that helix comes way down into the hex head, which is what we want. So boom, we're done there. Okay, and I'm going to turn the planes back on again just so you can see where that helix starts. That helix really starts right there at the intersection of the front plane and the cylinder. All right, so that is the second thing we have to do. And then the third thing we have to do now is we have to draw this and apply this little trapezoid shape, and then we're going to use the sweep tool to sweep it along the hex. Okay, so before we begin this trapezoid shape, and let's take a little look here. We're going to make a trapezoid like this. This little edge here is 1.2 millimeters. This face. The angle between this diagonal edge and this diagonal edge is going to be 50 degrees, because 25 to the horizontal and 25 to the horizontal. So all of this is symmetrical. All right, and I think we're good to go. Before we proceed, I have well, let's see here. I'll show you what I would do. So the front sketch, or we're going to make a sketch on the front plane. So Shift S to make the sketch, N to get normal to. Okay, and I would like to come here. Oh yeah. So for me, I'm going to press the S key, and I'm going to use this middle, or this midpoint line segment. Okay, midpoint line. You can come over here and choose midpoint line, but I use it so often that I want it to be that this is a really handy function. Basically what it does is it draws a line from a point. I'll just show you. S key, midpoint line. I want it to be from there, and then when I draw out, it goes in both directions from the point where I clicked. So I'll press escape, and I'll show you how I get that midpoint line in. So press your S key, okay, right click in a blank space and go to customize. That's going to take you to your account settings eventually. Okay, it's going to take you to preferences, and you'll be able to scroll down. There it is. It should take you right to it. You're in the sketch, so this is the shortcut toolbar you're going to want, and then it's going to be the fourth little checkbox down, midpoint line. Check it, and it should appear here. Some other things that I have put into my shortcut key is a revolve, spline, inscribe, polygon, point, text, stuff like that. You can add as many things as you want to it. Oh, slot is one I use all the time. Yeah, there's no shortcut key for that. So that's a big one. Mirror, linear pattern. These are all really, really handy ones. But I use the slot key primarily, and this little midpoint line I use all the time. Okay, so once you've added it, you need to save the shortcut, the toolbar. All right, and then you can get back into, once you're down there, you can get back into the drawing. So I'm going to press the midpoint line, come and click on that little edge where the helix hits the front plane. Click there. I want to come up like so. We don't know how big it is. No big deal. I want to come over here, and I'm going to highlight. I'm not going to click on it. I'm just going to hover over it to give it some focus. That center point. I'm going to click, and I'm going to do another line. I want it to be vertical, and we know that needs to be 1.2. So highlight 1.2. Okay, and then I want to do a line, L for line, and I just want to connect these endpoints there and there and there and there. I need a dimension tool because we know that the angle between here and here is 50. Okay, and then lastly, I need a line, a construction line. So L and Q gets me a construction line. I'm just going to come up here. Oops, sorry, see how it's not vertical. We can take care of that later on. It's probably best just to undo that. L and Q. make it be vertical, just like that. And then maybe let's make it just be 100 so it's constrained. D for dimension. I need to get my dimension tool, and I want to go from here, from that little straight edge, the teeth edge, to here and out. We know that that is 26, as we can see on the drawing. Okay, so now that's fully constrained, and we are done with that. Let me just bring over the drawing so you can see why we made it 26. That from edge to edge of the teeth, it's 26 in diameter. All right. Now here comes the fun part. This is the most fun of the whole drawing, of the model. I'm going to hide my planes, P, and I'm now going to go to sweep. Sweep. All right, we want to make it a new solid. Sorry, we want to add a solid to it. So the faces of the sketch we'd like to sweep is this guy right there. And then the sweep path is the helix. Okay, don't press the circle up here. If you press the circle, you'll get this little guy. All right, so we want to not do that. We want to use the sweep path of the helix. Aha. Okay, and we want it to merge with part number 1, so it's done. And there it goes. It goes deep into the hex, but it just kind of melds into it. All right, the last thing we have to do now is we have to make the top part of this thing smooth. All right, so let's think about that. This top face needs to be 14. So, and we're going to have an angle here of 75. And the way we're going to do that, let's see, can I draw here? I'm not going to draw. So I'll just show you. All right, back here, planes, we're going to choose a front plane again, sketch, in to get normal to. All right, so I'm going to grab my line. I'm going to hover over the center point because I want it to start here, and I'm going to just come over 7. All right, that's half of 14. I'm going to come down at some angle. I want to make sure I come down far. It doesn't really matter how far you go. Okay, I'm going to come up, and let's just call that 30. I'm going to come over until I'm vertical with the center point. Click there, come down to here, and let's just make that be 20. Again, this is pretty arbitrary. Last thing I want to do is a D for dimension, and I want this angle here to be 45 degrees. Okay, it's still blue. We still haven't fully constrained it because it can go up and down. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to bring it down to some depth, and then we're going to then remove that shape. And we just want to make sure that there's enough of this material and that weird shape that we just drew that it's going to take out all of the screw. You know, if it's not big enough and we come down here, it will leave that top. So we just want to make sure that there's enough. So if we look at the drawing, we see that it is 78. So dimension from that bottom point here. Here, let me pull it up so you can see what I'm doing. So dimension from this bottom point to the origin, or from the bottom of the top plane rather, that needs to be 78. So that will set it. Now it's fully defined. Press okie dokie. Click on that shape we just did, and now let's revolve it. So we're going to do remove. The revolve axis is going to be the left edge of our little shape. And there it is. Perfect. Okay. So we click okie dokie, hide the planes, and now we could also hide that curve, hide that helical curve. There it is. So we need to change this to ABS plastic. Where is it? There it is. Oh, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. All right. How about them Eagles? Come on. There we go. All right. ABS. Okay. So then let's find the mass of this. And yep, that's the mass that needs to go into Too Tall Toby. Okay. So once you've got that down, do it again. Rewatch the video. Look at your look at your feature tree over here to kind of give you step by step of what you did as reminders, and then see if you can't get it down to, to under 10 minutes. That'll be pretty good. Um, or even smaller than that. All right, I've got a little bit of time left before I have to go. So let me show you how to make the nut. And again, these are going to be 3D printed. So I'm going to put my planes back on. And so this nut, I'm going to use the screw, what we just made, to help us make the nut. It's really, really easy. So I'm going to start the nut. I'm going to draw the nut on top of the screw, and you'll see why that's helpful in a second. All right. So I'm going to choose the top plane. I'm going to start off with the plane that's going to be, sure, 25 above the top plane right there. That's good. That's where we're going to start drawing our nut. So I'm going to click on that plane, Shift S to start the sketch. Okay, get normal to, and I could make another inscribed polygon, or I could just use the use tool, just U for use, and just select all of these edges here. And that will use the bottom hex bolt to be my pattern. And then if the hex bolt ever changes, then the nut will also change in the same way. Great. So I'm going to hide my part so you can see that we now have just that hex bolt. I'm going to hide the planes as well. Okay, Shift E to extrude, and let's go up. I think let's go up 15. Nice little number there. Okay, just like we did before, I'm going to put the planes back on. I'm going to take the front, make a new sketch, get normal to. I'm going to use this square here, and we're going to put those chamfers on the top and the bottom edge of the nut. Okay, so click, click. I'm going to also make a construction line Q, and I want it to be from the midpoint of that side to the midpoint of that side, and I want to be, I'll just use this point here. Okay, and I'll just come up like 22. All right, so now D for dimension. I want this angle. Remember, this angle needs to be 30. This dimension from here all the way across, remember, was 40. So we're just kind of mimicking what the hex bolt head looked like. And then I want to mirror across this mirror line here, and I want to mirror this line. Boom. So now we are ready to, we're gonna hide that part just like we did before. I'm gonna choose the two triangles, and I'm gonna put the part back on. I'm gonna revolve. Come on, boy, we're really lagging here. Sorry about that, y'all. We're removing the revolve axis is, where did it go? Oh, come on. I must have pressed it too many times or something. Okay, I'm going to start over here. The revolve axis is this guy there. And we're going to remove, merge with all, and then say okie dokie. Okay, so that's the bulk of our screw, but now we need to do the important work of the inside. And so now we got to make those screw holes, the negative of the screw threads to put that in from the hex. But instead of doing it from scratch, what we're going to do is we're going to use the Boolean command to just cut out the bolt from our nut, and what will be left will be screw threads that will fit perfectly with the nut. So actually, I'm not going to highlight. Sorry, I'm not going to highlight. Up here is the Boolean command. Okay, and we're going to subtract. And the tool that we're going to use is the screw, is the bolt. Okay, so I'm going to click on that part 1. The target is the nut, which is part 2. Okay, and I want to keep the tools, and I say, there's something missing here. Let's see here. I say, okay. Now if I go back here and hide part 1, there we go. There it is. So we have cut out the threads to be the perfect, negative space of the bolt. Now, because we're 3D printing, if we do it exactly like this, then it won't work because it will bind. The 3D printing filament will come out a little thicker than perfect, and so we need to give it an offset. And the offset is going to be for, depends on your 3D printer. I think 0.5 is probably enough. This is a pretty big screw and nut, and so I would offset all. I would offset everything 0.5 and keep both tools. Okay, so offset, offset all, 0.5, keep tools. And now there's going to be a little bit of clearance in there so that when you 3D print, it won't bind up. So just to show you that, let's do a section view. So I'm right-clicking on the nut, okay, and we can zoom in like so. Okay, and let's get to the front again. So that offset, that half millimeter offset, for example, between those two faces is 0.5 millimeter. And now you can, your printer may be nicer than mine, and you can maybe get down to 0.2 offset. But let me just show you what this does, what it looks like. Okay, if we come back into Boolean and we offset it by 0.1, then, ooh, it's very tight. Now there's almost no difference there. If we go up to like 1 millimeter, it's not gonna work. It's gonna crap out. Oh no, why? That's interesting. Oh, I know what I know what I meant. So if you go too big, it will crap out on you. So 1 millimeter, that's a really big gap. So I'm thinking 0.5 is probably good enough for us. Okay, so click Okie dokie. Looks like I've locked up here. I've got to get a new machine. All right, my computer came back to me, and now I can just right-click on this, turn off the section view, and now we're right back to where our two parts are. Now I can, maybe let's change our name here. I should have done that earlier so we could see more clearly what's happening with which part is which. Sorry, that's the hex nut. Sorry, my goodness, I'm not focused here, y'all. Sorry about this. Okay, now we can right click on these guys, send them, export them as STLs and send them to the 3D printer. All right, not my demonstration. Sorry about that. Hope it was helpful. Thank y'all for watching.